Tonight, teaching the truth is not radical or wrong.
School board elections have become a proxy war for larger political culture wars on issues of race, gender, and parental rights.
Last October, the Central York School Board pulled a list of books from their shelves that discuss race, social justice, and history.
Stop pretending this is about protecting children from books.
42 states have tried to either ban critical race theory or limit how teachers can discuss racism and sexism.
I guarantee you, critical race theory is a racist theory.
Critical race theory is a Marxist doctrine.
Absolutely false.
There's a point at which ignorance is not malicious itself, but if held onto in the face of facts, becomes malicious.
I'm Mr. Knight, a second-year history teacher here at Evergreen Valley High School.
My name is Mr. Benitez. I'm a teacher at Evergreen Valley High School.
Hello, hi. I'm a first-year teacher at Santa Teresa. I currently teach world history and government econ to seniors.
Hello, my name is Ryan Lee. I'm a 20-year-old student at the University of Florida.
Hi, my name is Eric Lee. I'm 17 and I go to Pasco High School in Dade City, Florida.
So using one word, how would you describe the education system in America?
Labored.
Progressive.
Skewed.
Outdated.
Inadequate.
Would you like to elaborate?
The public education system in the United States is struggling. It is dealing with perhaps one of its most difficult periods in recent history, to my knowledge. I feel in recent years we're falling behind the rest of the world.
Do you think it is harmful when students aren't getting the full picture of our history?
Oh my gosh, yes.
100%. You lose the understanding the impact of the things that many of us take for granted, or you lose the weight of real issues as they pertain to your life.
History cannot be told from one perspective. History is relevant and it can only be heard and seen and understood when we are listening from different perspectives, different narratives, right?
Having an incomplete picture is more harmful than sheer ignorance. I look back and I see the things that, as a history student, I was not taught.
Have you ever felt that you weren't learning the full story?
Yes. There never was really any part of my curriculum that really taught about race and socioeconomic issues. And I feel like it wasn't until I got to college and I started to do research for myself that I really started to learn more about these important topics.
So in my history classes, whenever we were talking about World War II, they'd always talk about the Japanese internment camps that Franklin Roosevelt put in during the 40s. And I always thought that was strange that there's only a paragraph or two in the history books about it, when it's such an absurd idea that people would put American citizens in internment camps just for being Japanese.
Moving on to something slightly different, do you think that banned books make a significant impact? And do you think that banning a book makes it more popular?
So it was Mark Twain who, I think, in Tom Sawyer said that the best way to make a body want to do something was to make them promise not to do that very thing.
Students might be curious. They're like, why is this book banned? Why was it banned in the past, right?
And when you ban a book, you are implicitly telling an audience that, ooh, there's secrets in here. This is something that we don't want you to see. And so it's very counterproductive to ban a book, which makes it almost laughable that anyone would try.
Banning books has an extremely significant impact. When you are banning books, in kind of a weird way, you're preventing this almost mandatory development that you're giving to young people, but that is so important because, one, the literature you're gonna encounter later, a lot of it, for example, whether it's in college or just as an adult, and not even literature, but popular media plays off of these common stories that we all grow up with.
The people who ban books are never the good guys in history. Simple as that. The Nazis banned books, fascists banned books. No one who has ever tried to ban texts, religious or historical, have ever been on the right side of history, and today is no exception.
How does censorship and restrictive curriculum contribute to the larger issue of social and political censorship in the United States?
Censorship ultimately results in a division between people. I think that it only goes to promote ignorance between people who just are not being presented, and it's not necessarily their fault, but I feel like not everybody's getting the full story, and because of that, it allows people to be easily manipulated, or it allows for example, like politicians to play into like just the fears of people and be able to capitalize on that.
When you get to the voting booth, when you get to having reasonable discussions with other adults, debates, college level discussions, things of that nature, you don't have that background, it's really going to create massive divides. If you're coming from California and you read To Kill a Mockingbird as a freshman, and someone else is coming from another state which banned it, because it makes a certain group of people look bad because of their actual real lived past, that's going to affect the debate on a national level. That's going to affect policy on a national level, and it's going to send this country in a crazy direction. Mm-hmm. And a bad one, probably.
Yeah. What are the potential long-term effects of censorship and restrictive curriculum on the future of American youth and society as a whole?
It like discourages kids from trying to really find all the information before making a valid and well-educated decision, like who to vote for. You know, if you're not being taught everything and you're not being urged to go seek that information for yourself, I think what it does is it just teaches kids to blindly listen to other people and not really seek their own insights, not really gain their own opinions.
The only way that people can learn from the past and like mistakes and obvious like wrongdoings like oppression is to get the full knowledge and understanding of a topic so that they can prevent that from happening again in the future.
Eventually students, they're not gonna be informative learners. You're not gonna be informative adults in society, like once you graduate high school, right? You guys are no longer a kid. You guys are no longer a student. You guys have to make a decision for yourself. But if censorship is prevalent through society and even in the education system, students don't have that option to be more open, to think for themselves.
You are restricting viewpoints. And when you do that, you threaten to or outright inhibit and censor history. Well, people who were taught an incomplete version of history are going to have the wrong idea. And so when you go to a school that teaches you the Civil War was all about states' rights, that's a favorite, then you fail to grasp the systematic oppression of an entire people in this nation. So when you try to tackle nuanced, complex social issues, you are missing an entire chunk of your toolbox to do that because your school failed you.
If you're restricting access to certain worldviews, if you're restricting access to certain real lived experiences, if you're restricting access to certain stories or certain facts, concrete statistical facts, you are effectively cutting off a person's ability to develop their own reasoning. You're cutting off a person's ability to develop their own morality, their own ethical sense, and you're pushing people further and further to these fringes where they're not necessarily going to be picking what they think is best for them and their families and their communities, but more along the lines of, I don't really have any other choice. I don't have anything else to choose from. I'm being fed a perspective that isn't factually based at the end of the day.
And after we've had this discussion, using one word, describe the education system in America.
Limiting.
Unequal.
Restrictive.
Trying to be inclusive.
Challenged.
Would you like to elaborate?
Well, it already historically has always been unequal. So there's that. And the actions that certain individuals with a lot of power and influence in our country want the country to go the direction they want to push us in with regards to education, with regards to censorship and restricting information and doing all these things is only going to further that inequality. There is no real reason why we shouldn't be teaching facts to people point blank, period.
It's facing an uphill battle. and it's one that I hope it can survive, but I'm hearing about waves of teachers quitting the profession every year, every week even. Right now, the American public education system is under attack from those in the US government that would seek to change it, harm it. And I don't think it's doomed. I think by bringing attention to the issues caused by censorship and by misinformation, we can reverse some of the damage that's being done.